What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Stacey the Intuitive. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to come here and talk about something that was very interesting to me, and it's a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I really wanted to express something on this notion that people say, like, actions speak louder than words. And I actually think that that's quite contradictory because I don't think that it's totally true. I was recently in a circumstance and I was thinking, like, for myself, what would I need to see in order to believe that someone has changed or whatever? And I kind of came to this notion as like, nobody can show me anything to think that they're changed. I would actually need to speak with them and understand their level of consciousness. I think it's so interesting now that I'm even saying this out loud, because I just read my notes and I had thought about this the other day and thought about it as a video topic, and now saying it, I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of crazy. It's so interesting that people say actions speak louder than words, because I feel that people can take actions, and if it's not backed up by their mindset, if it's not backed up by their level of consciousness, then it literally doesn't matter. So in some ways, words do speak louder than actions, but I don't actually think that they can be weighed on the same scale. I think that consciousness dictates actions, right? But those things can be completely mismatched. You can be at the lower level of consciousness and taking actions, and then that'll kind of show through later on. So it's like you can be taking like making changes or whatever within your being, but your consciousness is still at this level. It's below the actions you're taking, and so at some point that'll show up in that, right? So actions do not speak louder than words, guys. I don't know where we got that notion from, right? Like words mean nothing. No, actually, the best that you can do is have an in-depth conversation with someone from your level of consciousness, actually being aware of how they're speaking. And you just need to have the right questions to ask, and you can understand their level of consciousness and where the changes come from, and what's kind of driving their action. But for me, I don't think that I would ever come to a position where I would view someone's actions and take that as bond, take that as something with which to judge who they truly are. I would need to hear how they articulate, how they explain their experience getting from point A to point B and everything like that in order to have that. So don't let people manipulate you into thinking that actions speak louder than words, because sometimes people can be at a certain level of consciousness. Their consciousness could be here, but they could also have like a block in their consciousness towards an action. So say that you're completely like at this high level of consciousness and you have a goal in mind, but you have like a fear that stops an action from taking place. And I'm thinking about this in terms of myself, because today I kind of unveiled this deep-rooted fear that I have of failure. And although my level of consciousness is at the place that I feel that it needs to be, this fear has been kind of undercutting every single action that I would take, and it would stop me from taking actions that are in alignment with this level of consciousness. My level of consciousness is something I've become incredibly proud of, but that doesn't mean that me taking the actions would have been a reflection of this consciousness. I know people that are taking the actions that I might want to take in one area that are not in my level of consciousness, and vice versa. So it's very interesting to think about that. And for me, what I was talking about, the fear of failure, has to do with like content creation, stuff like that. But don't let people fool you into thinking that. I think that it's important to kind of question these notions that go around. Honestly, that's a big thing for me lately. Like these collective ideals that we're spreading around, they're not actually always true. And even me, you can find holes in what I have to say. But these generalized statements, I want to always focus on making my statements have the capacity towards openness and things like that, so that they can resonate with a wide range of people, and that they actually account for the nuances, the subtle differences and little things that can happen within any given space. Because I don't know, I've been finding that these things are actually not true when I'm like exploring them. Like, actions speak louder than words. Really? Because what if your consciousness is not in the space that it needs to be in? Then your actions mean nothing. They're not backed by anything. You want everything you do to be rooted in something real, right? And that's something very big for me, because you can only measure change by different levels of consciousness. And I've learned that. And, that also has a big contradiction with time, because we talk about time being a measure of change. But actually, in terms of us as beings with a consciousness, with an awareness, you can go through so much amount of time but have zero consciousness shift, in which case, like, you haven't changed at all. Like, your life should still be a reflection of what it was. And if it's not the exact reflection of what it was, the themes are still playing out exactly the same. So I wanted to talk about that. I just think that it's a really good marker if anyone is wondering like how to measure change. Maybe you're dealing in a situation and with a boss or something, and they're saying that change is going to happen, or you're dealing with a situation with a lover or a friend or a family member, and you're wanting to be able to measure that change, the only way that you're going to be able to is by measuring consciousness. And then you would need to explore where you think your consciousness is and where it needs to be for that space, so that you have the correct questions to ask. And a lot of the time it really just comes from the space of like asking, like, what has prompted this change for you? And you know, some people can get around with like a very blanket statement, but if you are at a level of consciousness that you feel is, you know, able to kind of pick up on those things, then you can really get to a place of understanding whether or not change can actually have been measured. But yeah, I wanted to share that, just a really quick video for you guys. I think I'm just going to title this "Change Can Only Be Measured by Level of Consciousness," because it's like a little thought bubble for y'all for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.